Judith Negron, the partnership lead for the Ladies of Hope Ministries. I'd like to welcome you to our third business roundtable discussion on equitable employment opportunities for the justice impacted community. Today's session is titled Success Stories, Breaking Through Employment Barriers. We will highlight the successes that can be achieved when inclusive employment practices are implemented by employers and opportunities are given to those who are trying to rebuild their lives. As mentioned, this is the last of a three-part series. The first discussion focused on the legal barriers to equitable employment, and the second focused on the employer barriers. If you're interested in viewing those, a link will be provided for you on the chat. For today's business roundtable and discussion on success stories, the first part will consist of moderated questions to our distinguished panelists, followed by a Q&A session from the audience. The second part will consist of a few of our very own P4E fellows and their personal stories. As you're listening to the panelists, please put any questions you may have on the chat. We will use the chat to answer any of the questions during our Q&A session. This event is being empowered by the generous support of the Checker Foundation. And at this time, I'd like to introduce our moderator for this session, Dr. Topeka K. Sam, founder and CEO of the Ladies of Hope Ministries. Dr. Sam is a passionate champion for the dignity, decriminalization, and decarceration of women and girls. As founder and CEO of the Ladies of Hope Ministries, co-founder of CVO MyFresh.com, president of TKS Ventures, LLC, Epic Health, LLC, Epic Living Detroit, LLC, and Faces and Voices, Inc., she stands as a catalyst for positive transformation. Since her release from federal prison in 2015, she has earned recognition as Soros Justice Advocacy Fellow and received a full and unconditional presidential pardon for her dedication to empowering women in 2020. Notable accolades include board positions at organizations like Marshall Project, Operation Restoration, and United Justice Coalition. In addition, she received the first Social Impact Award from Google.org, which highlights her significant contributions. Beyond advocacy, Dr. Sam has ventured into media, hosting a show on SiriusXM, and currently serving as an executive producer for various TV and film projects. Dr. Sam is a relentless force in transforming lives, advocating for social justice and inspiring change. Dr. Sam.
Thank you so much, Judith, for such a wonderful, wonderful introduction. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you for putting this incredible last of three business roundtables together. And so your work is not easy, but it is a very mighty lift, and very excited to see everyone joining us today. And so I'd like to welcome everyone to our final, again, sadly, and hopefully, we don't know what we'll have coming in 2025, but Business Roundtable. Through our Pathways for Equity program, our mission is to break down employment barriers and provide career-level opportunities. Today, we will see firsthand how this mission can be realized. But first, what is the problem and why are we here? Close to 80 million people, that's 1 in 3 adults in the United States, have an arrest or criminal record. That's almost 1/3 are women. 44% of people remain unemployed after 1 year of being released. 75% of women who are impacted by incarceration are women of color who are unemployed or underemployed. And over 65% are mothers to minor children, and of those, most are single mothers trying to rebuild their lives post-incarceration. These job seekers are on the sidelines, and businesses are missing out on talented and dedicated individuals. Businesses and HR leaders are in a strong position to be a part of the solution. Through the LOHM's Pathway for Equities program, we are addressing these problems through roundtable discussions, increasing awareness, and collaborating on solutions. Our goal is to open doors to meaningful careers with employers who are committed to fair chance hiring. Employers are missing out on this untapped talent pool because of their hiring practice, cultural norms, stigmas, fears, and myths. We aim to bring awareness of the talented group of individuals across the United States being overlooked because of their backgrounds. Today, we will hear from justice-impacted leaders who have broken through career barriers and achieved remarkable success in their respective industries. You will see how we can pave the way for a more inclusive and supportive workforce and create diversity in various business sectors. So our first panelist, and I am going to read everyone's bio because we did say we have some incredibly talented people who have overcome so many barriers, and we want to make sure that you understand how much it took for them to get where they are. So Dr. Stanley Idris, MBA, PhD, Executive Director from Prison Cells to PhDs, and Assistant Professor, Howard University College of Medicine. Dr. Idris is an endocrinologist, scientist, and assistant professor at Howard University College of Medicine, researching type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance. He is a visiting faculty at Georgetown University Medical Center, held a visiting faculty position at Imperial College London, and held an adjunct professorship at Johns Hopkins School of Medicine after completing his postdoctoral training. Whew. Dr. Idris completed his PhD at St. Louis University and his MBA and bachelor's degree at Lindenwood University, where he played 3 years of collegiate football. Dr. Idris's service commitments include executive director and founder of From Prison Cells to PhD, vice president of the board for the formerly incarcerated College Graduates Network, board member on the Endocrine Society, past president of the Johns Hopkins Postdoctoral Association, founder of the Diversity Postdoctoral Alliance, member on several and national committees, motivational speaker, community activist, and just incredibly dope. I mean, come on, folks. This is insane. Now, I just want to give you kudos because Lord have mercy. You know, we all have gifts. None of that is mine. But I am so honored and proud of everything that you've accomplished, not only for you, but for so many of us. So thank you for being a leader and unlocking so many opportunities for people who want to go through academia, but also to become a doctor. Incredible. So thank you for joining us. Our next panelist is Lady Funk, MSW, RCSWI, pre-licensed psychotherapist, Holistic Minds Collective Research Assistant, University of Michigan Level Up Lab. Whew, I'll tell you. Lady Funk is a dedicated advocate and MSW graduate in interpersonal practice with a focus on integrated health, mental health, and substance abuse. Currently pursuing a Master of Public Health at the University of Michigan, Lady earned her Bachelor of Science in Human Services from Palm Beach State College, graduating summa cum laude. As a pre-licensed psychotherapist at Holistic Minds Collective and a research assistant at the University of Michigan, she develops and implements interventions to improve mental health outcomes for underserved populations aimed at supporting system-impacted female youth of color. With notable experiences in DEI initiatives, Lady has facilitated educational workshops and community dialogues from a global perspective enriched by her research on incarceration, human rights, and biodiversity in the United Kingdom. Recognized for her contributions, Lady has received the DEI Impact Award for Student of the Year and the Michigan Different Student Leadership Award. Again, so incredibly honored, incredibly proud, and just wow. Thank you, Lady, for being here. Next, we have Belen Enriquez, MBA, Office Director and Prison Consultant, Law Offices of Paul Peruzzi, Managing Partner, Reentry Innovations. Belen has carved a niche as a formidable advocate and thought leader in the reentry sector. Following her incarceration, where she provided vital legal support to fellow incarcerated individuals, Belen has directed her efforts toward criminal justice reform and reentry initiatives. Now serving as the office director at the law offices of Paul Peruzzi in Miami, she handles complex cases while spearheading Reentry Innovations, a tech-focused initiative aimed at aiding formerly incarcerated individuals to reintegrate into society. Her role extends to active participation in justice reform organizations such as Dream.org, A New Way of Life Reentry Project, Just Leadership USA, and the Ladies of Hope Ministries. Belinda's commitment is further underscored by serving on the board of directors for the Florida Justice Center and by her contributions to key conferences on justice reform, embodying her dedication to facilitating effective reentry programs and supporting workforce education for justice-impacted individuals. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Belinda. Again, also incredibly honored to have worked with you on many different ways, but your contributions to the community are so, so invaluable. And has our fourth panelist arrived yet? But I'm going to just go ahead and read her bio anyway. And hopefully, she's saving the world down in North Carolina and beyond. And hopefully she'll be able to get, she is here, Councilwoman Tijuana Brown, CCHW, CPSS, Charlotte City Council, Executive Director of Beauty After the Bars, Customer Service Advocate at American Airlines. Tijuana Brown, a lifelong resident of District 3 in Charlotte, North Carolina, has served on the City Council since 2023. Raised in the Southside Homes housing projects, she graduated from Myers Park High School and attended Johnson C. Smith University. Councilmember Brown worked professionally as a corporate consultant at several Fortune 500 companies, specializing in telecommunications management, aviation at American Airlines, and character education development. As a North Carolina peer support specialist and community healthcare worker, she has supported employment and permanent housing for returning citizens and those experiencing homelessness. After serving a federal sentence, she founded Beauty After the Bars, a nonprofit aimed to prevent the incarceration of women and girls, partnered with Mecklenburg County Detention Center. Okay, Mecklenburg County. All right, Detention Center to provide mentoring and develop the program for school-age children called Believe Academic Success Belongs to You. She's a proud board member of the National Council for Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls. Thank you so much, Council Member Brown, for being here with us today. Again, so incredibly proud of all of our panelists for the accomplishments that you have made to date, because this is only the beginning, and all the contributions that you're also making to the communities that we are all still a part of and all that we serve. And to the audience, please add your questions in the chat as we are going through this discussion. We will address them during our Q&A. So now I'm going to ask everyone a question, and please keep it to about 5 to 7 minutes so that we can have time for Q&A and also bring some of our fellows out. The first question is for Dr. Andres regarding the work in the field of academia and science. Your story of becoming an assistant professor at Howard University is truly inspiring. Can you share the greatest challenge you faced in breaking into the highly competitive field of science and academia as a justice-impacted person, and what strategies were instrumental in helping you break through?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation, first off, to be here. It's such a pleasure to be amongst the esteemed colleagues that we have and panelists on this call. Yeah, that's a great question. I think, for me, being a formerly incarcerated person since the 10 years in prison, was looking at 20 years to life in prison, and had a prosecutor pushing for that time because she felt that I had no hope for changing the decisions I had been making up until that time in my early 20s. And as my introduction, fast forward some time, I did my time. I'm now Dr. Stan Andres, an endocrinologist, scientist, assistant professor, Howard University College of Medicine, the Mecca. I added some extra labels, was at visiting professor, as you mentioned, at Georgetown Medicine, visiting professor at Imperial College London, was adjunct at Johns Hopkins for some time. So I clearly have broken into some, doors that, many people that look like me, even without criminal convictions, have challenges breaking into some of those doors. And, interestingly, what has been the key for every single step along the way in terms of getting into those places that I just mentioned has really been having a sponsor. So, when I have my organization that I co-founded, it's been about 7 years now, From Prison Cells to PhD. It shares the same name as a book that I wrote, which was the #1 new release in educator biographies on Amazon, From Prison Cells to PhD. It's never too late to do good. And the organization is, essentially a reentry program that's focused on providing mentoring and a support network. And how I got into those places that I just mentioned was really a sponsor and a support network. So when I was incarcerated, I just got hit with the 10. I was looking at 20. I went into prison as pretty young Black male, coming from Ferguson, Missouri, where North St. Louis County, primarily Black area. The idea and expectations for people that come from those communities, at least what outsiders see from what is expected from people that come from those communities, is that they will be in this revolving door of incarceration. So I went into prison feeling that way. I was fortunate enough to have this mentor step into my life that saw me using my talents differently and started investing in my potential. I also, over the course of about 2 years, ended up losing my father to his battle with type 2 diabetes. And I mean, that was the motivation behind, him going through his hospitalizations and surgeries were the motivations for me picking up my first scientific article and studying diabetes. But that tied with this mentor step into my life was the changing moment. And, every step of the way has had this mentor or sponsor involved in it. So, this mentor, while I was still incarcerated, encouraged me to continue my education. He put together a team of support that helped me apply to school. I applied to a number of places. I applied to 6 different places. It took me months and months for many different challenges that, I go into detail in the book, and I could maybe talk later if of interest. But almost immediately after putting all this hard work, just rejection after rejection after rejection after rejection, I got rejected from every single place I applied to, except for the one where this mentor was on the admissions committee. So this mentor actually was truly a mentor. He was a personal part of my journey, and he was somebody that I could talk to about different challenges I was facing. But he was also a sponsor, and there's some very distinct differences between mentors and sponsors. But
I was going to ask you that.
So I go through, I always like to distinguish that within your mentoring team, within your mentoring circle, you should have mentors for like your workout regime, for your professional, for your school. But you need a coach. At the very least, you need a coach, a mentor, and a sponsor. A coach actually teaches you how to shoot a ball. It teaches you, how to throw a football. It teaches you how, as a scientist, to do technical science things. A mentor is part of your personal life. They care about if you just lost, you're having trouble with your significant other. They'll be there to be a shoulder to lean on, and they'll help guide you through challenging situations. A sponsor really doesn't interact with you that much. They just believe in you. And behind your back, behind closed doors, they're telling people how great you are. And, this particular person was a mentor and a sponsor. So he was there for me personally, but behind closed doors, when everyone else was rejecting me, he was telling people, we got to give this person a shot. We have to give this person a chance. I know his talent, and we'll be missing out on talent if we pass up on this guy. And essentially every single step of the way, from St. Louis University, where I did my PhD, and he helped me get into that, to Johns Hopkins, to Howard University, to Georgetown, to Imperial, I had an inside person advocating for me on the other side that said, this guy's brilliant. We would be missing out if we passed up on him.
Thank you so much for
that is essentially what our organization does, is we look to be that mentor and that sponsor. So we build connections. So behind closed doors, we can tell people how amazing our scholars are.
Well, I mean, that was clear. I don't know if anybody else would need any additional information to know that they need a coach, a mentor, and a sponsor. And I love when I'm speaking to people that played sports. I played sports in school growing up, and because we often know about building teams and why having a team, whether you are part of a team or having a team being a part of your journey, is critical and necessary for you to get anywhere that you're trying to go. But I really appreciate how you laid out truly the difference between a mentor and a sponsor, and that we always need people who are in rooms speaking highly of us when we're not around, because that's how we're able to continue to not only break through these barriers, but also to help others. And so thank you so much. I'm gonna make sure that I have my niece, who's right now her third year, fourth year at UPenn pre-med, call you. So, so you could be her mentor through this last little bit part. Well, not yet. It's, the undergrad, but she definitely needs, because, where she is at UPenn, it's very different because they don't have, a lot of Black doctors and other Black students really who are mentoring, because it's so competitive, and when we think about those of us who are just as impacted and are in these spaces, it is critical that we have people who are not only mentoring us, coaching us, but also sponsoring us. And lastly, before I move on to Lady Funk, that, it is so important that we have different people. Sometimes we can have one, that could be two. But when you pointed out, I need to have a coach that, coach me to get to the gym, maybe. And then someone that could also coach me to get through, my education. We definitely need to identify where we need that support in our lives, or be open enough to be able to receive it. So thank you so, so much for all of that. And yes, we're going to drop the book in the chat. Everybody, please plug your stuff. This is a talk heavy panel. So I think everyone needs to know how they can also get your information and be able to learn from a lot of the lessons that everyone on this panel has been able to share. And so, Lady Funk, this question is going to be about the healthcare field and also research. Your success is in a highly regulated industry such as healthcare is incredibly remarkable. Was there a specific moment or turning point in your career when you felt that being just as impacted might hinder your progress? And what significant factors contributed to your success in overcoming it?
Thank you for the question and for having me be part of this amazing panel. Um, Navigating a career in healthcare as a formerly incarcerated Latina has certainly presented many challenges. One pivotal moment for me was during my early stages of my education and career, when I encountered skepticism, biases, and not just because of my background, but also due to the stigmas associated with it. Incarcerated Latina, can she be a therapist? Is she dangerous to other people? Uh, Probably she's really messed up. How can she help other people? I faced so many of those, but there was a time that I did question whether my past will overshadow my potential and hinder my progress. But and I put it in the sense of like, but this is the field that people should trust and be credible. So, but however, what helped me push through were two significant factors, which I think a lot of us know, and is resilience and community. Resilience for me meant continuously reaffirming my commitment to my goals and recognizing my experience through that different lens. When we know that we could be so strong rather than being just the liability. I also learned to see my justice impacted background not just as a barrier, but as a unique lens through which I could offer valuable insight, especially in mental health, such a subject that nobody wants to talk about. Even if you're incarcerated, formerly incarcerated, or you're not, or being someone of color, is still already a stigma in our communities. And then the second factor was the support of my mentors, as Dr. Andres was saying. Mentors, colleagues, and organizations that believe in second chances and the power of lived experiences. Uh, those organizations, those mentors, and colleagues, they encourage me and believe in my abilities. That I think that fueled me, my determination to excel and contribute more to the field, not give up. I think those combined forces allow me to transform like motivation and drive me to where I am today, where I am not going to give up. I actually had the opportunity, even when I was going to in school, to hear Dr. Andres and meet him and say it was in St. Louis, and not giving up. Schools were rejecting me. And I aimed it and I said, let me look what is the number one school in the country for social work. And it was University of Michigan. I applied and I owned in my story. And when it came to my licensing and having fears that the license might not come through, I reached out to the state and told them my story, why I deserve for the state to allow me to get a license to be a mental health therapist. So yeah, that's been practically my journey and the strength and the hindrances in my journey in the healthcare.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I have a follow-up question. I heard you underscore being a Latina specifically. And so, often we talk about women of color collectively. But when I heard the emphasis on Latina, I wanted to ask you, where was the barriers as being a Latina woman and previously incarcerated different from just being a previously incarcerated woman or a woman of color?
I think being that I emphasize Latina because within our own communities, we have stigmas, we have challenges. And sometimes we want to look for that community within our communities, and we are not acknowledging that we have even our own stigmas.
Mm.
And it adds more obstacles to it. It adds more, once again, goes back to stigmas and that support where you're looking for in your community. You might find it like, oh no, you're the one that's making us look bad.
Mm.
Or with other communities, it's like, it's what is expected of you. You're a woman of color. What can you expect? So it adds more to it. But I learned to own all those things in my identities without a shame. Yes, I am
Mm.
formally incarcerated. Yes, I am a Latina, but this allows me to actually help other individuals and be a lived experience that I could help other individuals and understand what they have gone through. And also set an example that you could do it.
100%, because you've done it and continuing to do it. And my other question is for psychotherapy. Why psychotherapy? I heard Dr. Andres, his dad lost his battle to, type 2 diabetes. And so that would really pique his interest. So why psychotherapy specifically?
Why psychotherapy? Because for me, being a formerly incarcerated Latina, a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, we go back to our communities. It's something we don't talk about. You'll get over it. There's not many people that we could go and that look like us or that might understand us within our own problems in our communities. So I chose it because when I came back home, I noticed that there was no resources for us.
Mm.
If you get probation, you have to think either I put in my probation, pay my probation, or do I really seek help? I also acknowledge that we all face a trauma that probably led us to a decision that was not the best decision. There's no secret that we experience traumas during incarceration. It's a survival. And then we're going to be experiencing traumas when we come back home. The challenges, the stigmas, the shame, and all of that is something that we sometimes don't want to talk about because it's just we got to get back. We got to make up for the time that we were gone. We got to connect with our families. And we don't understand sometimes or don't want to talk about it, that we might need help, that we need support, that it's okay to talk about why we behave a certain way, the way we behave when we come back home. Why do we have triggers? Why do we walk the right side of the line? Or why do we still look for food that we cook in prison when sometimes we said we will never do it again? I personally said I will never wear blue again. And I find myself finding blue as a comfort color.
Mm. I love that. Thank you.
That's why I chose psychotherapy, because there's so much that we could do. And it's such a subject that we don't want to talk about. We always judge, but we don't hear the stories of everyone. And what best we hear it than being there for them.
Thank you so much. I love that. I can remember when I first came home, and I laughed because I can now. Been home now 9 years, but around 4 o'clock, in the federal prison, there's count. I found myself like just stopping where I was because my body, it was like, what they call trauma response, right? every day at 4 o'clock, I would stand or stop where I was. And I remember that that was part of that response. And as I started going through therapy, and understanding, like, why did I go into my room? And when I went in my room, I would come in, go in the room and shut the door. When I came home from prison, I was living with my parents, and they would knock because they didn't know how to respond to me because I would close the door. But it was me simulating and being in a cell or being locked down. And again, did not realize that I was responding in this way based on these behaviors that I had experienced for over 3 years. And so thank you for taking up psychotherapy and being a Latina, going back into the communities that you and we all are a part of, and being able for people to see themselves in you and feel more comfortable to get the support. So thank you so much. I'm excited to see what you do next now that you're going for your master's. So let's see what's after that.
No, this is actually my second master's.
Oh,
My first
Lord.
master's. But thank you so much for having me here.
No,
I'm making it.
absolutely. God bless. That's incredible. Okay, Belin, this next one is for you. And it's about full-time work management and field management and legal services. And so your journey becoming the office director at a prominent law firm is incredibly impressive. As a justice impacted individual, how did you gain trust and support of colleagues and clients in this highly scrutinized and highly competitive legal industry? And how do you balance that professional credibility?
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's very honored to be here among amazing panelists, and of course, I'm a graduate of the Leadership Foundations, one of the programs. Thanks so much for the opportunity. For me, it was mainly about gaining trust and making sure that people know that I'm more than my offense, because obviously we tend to be judged by the things that we did and not by the potential that we have. So for me, that's very important to show any potential employers or colleagues that I'm more than my offense. Also making sure that I'm always excelling at what I do, making sure that I'm transparent, making sure that I have empathy for others, making sure that I'm always prepared. And rebuilding credibility, I can't stress the importance of that, because unfortunately our fans all of that. And embracing my story, I know that as justice impacted individuals, we dwell on the past and we think that we're never going to be able to overcome our convictions. But my conviction is part of who I am and is my life. And incorporating that into the future and what I do presently and in my work has been very successful for me and very effective. I also think that delivering quality work builds your credibility, and also making sure that you own up to your commitment, and make sure that whatever you're doing is your best work possible, and also being responsible and proactive. Always continue to gain more education and pursue other opportunities as well.
Thank you. And I think my question for you is the same as I did for the other panelists. What made you want to go specifically into the legal industry? And how would you say your experiences, your life's experience, leans in on the work that you're able to do and support people within your profession currently?
So when I was arrested in May of 2018, I was preparing to go to law school. So for me, I've always been interested in the legal world, especially criminal defense or criminal law in general. So being incarcerated, it only confirmed my purpose and my interest in law. So that was probably one of the things that led to this. I embrace it. I love it. And I try to be very effective, as I said. And I try to help other individuals too, because we're not separated from the legal world, especially if you're justice impacted. Um, when we're in prison, we have these individuals that help us with legal work. So I became one of those individuals that was assisting with non-lawyer duties throughout the federal prison. So, that's how I continue my path into the legal world.
And do you find that your experience, especially in Florida, because we know, well, every state is different, right? But in Florida, some of the charges and the barriers that people face who are coming home from prison and going to prison are just really egregious. It reminds me of a woman's case who was sentenced to life for 30 years for like 30 grams, I believe, of crack. And she was struggling in her substance misuse. But because they called her a habitual offender, they have the law. It was like 3 strikes. So they sent her to prison for 30 years for 3 thefts. Um, are you seeing a lot of that? And are you dealing with a lot of clients who are really struggling with these type of convictions, and how are you able to lean to support with them?
Well, I think we live in an overly punitive society, and we live in an overly punitive system as it is. But when you ask me specifically about Florida, yes, Florida is one of the most punitive states in the United States. Simply because we have more laws than we don't have justice, if that makes sense.
It does.
So, when you mentioned this 3 strike law, and you would see career offender provisions and armed career criminals in the feds. Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of the instances where your past does count, right? We wouldn't want this to count, but your offense is what you did before and you were convicted of is going to play against you. So I don't agree with that, because I think that, for the most part, individuals who have a prior conviction, possibly, and if they have a subsequent conviction, they never had a meaningful reentry opportunity. So I wish these lawmakers would understand that it's not about incarcerating people or hiding them into prisons. It's about, if you are exposed to the system or impacted by the system in any way, whether it's a conviction or you are in probation or anything, that you can't just leave people hanging because they might reoffend. And having reentry opportunities and jobs and housing and mental health opportunities, it's important, so we don't have to be creating this 3 strike laws and other things that only increase your punishment instead of increasing health.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for all of the incredible work that you do, and the contributions that you make, not only locally, but nationally. I find myself running into Berlin everywhere. So thank you for everything that you're doing for the community and for us. And to our fourth panelist, Council Member Brown. This is about, I started with the question just about the aviation field, but really want to also dive into your civic service work. And so your list of accomplishments are phenomenal. I'm incredibly proud of you for everything that you've accomplished in industries like aviation, where background checks are rigorous. How did you navigate the process to ensure it did not hinder your progress? And how did that contribute to your success in corporate America and now later in civil service?
Well, first, thank you so much for having me here today. It is truly an honor, and I fight back tears because of the history of how I reached out online to find you. I just want to say that I looked for you. I was in the closet with my background. I have 2 beautiful daughters who are now 30 and 32. And I didn't always come out and be as bold as I am. I always had the strength and the courage because of the line of strong Black women that I come from. My mom, my grandmother, and all of the phenomenal women that are in my family. And our faith and our foundation is church, the Baptist church. But I did want to go on record and say, I looked for you. You introduced me to the National Council for Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls. You was a part of that foundation. And so I learned a lot and built from that. But to take it back to my question in aviation, it is I own my story. And when I applied, I knew exactly who I was. I knew exactly what my background meant. I knew exactly what it has cost me, COST. And I knew that if I wanted to get the job, just to own it. And I did. There is not an excuse for what I did, but there is a history from what I did and where I came from. Overcoming generational poverty, overcoming generational curses, overcoming domestic violence, dating a drug dealer, being pregnant in prison, leaving a 2-year toddler behind, and owning that and knowing that I deserve everything that's before me. Looking at strong women like yourself who have become a doctor in this space, and all of the other women who I stand alongside in this space. And so owning my story became my power. And because it gave me such a level of strength that's even undescribable, and because of where I came from and my foundation from my mom and my matriarch, my grandmother, and all the other phenomenal Black women in my family, I knew that I had the power to be anything that I wanted to be. So I took that into the aviation interview because, again, they dug deep. They flew me out to Dallas. They wanted to take my fingerprints and see exactly what I had done. I had a white collar crime. Normally, there are some crimes that automatically eliminate you. You know, we teach people how to talk about us. We don't answer to convict. We don't answer to convicted felon. We don't answer to all of the things that scar us and put stigmas on us. And so I walk in the room, I own it. That's my power. My story is my power. I deliver and I execute, and then I'm rewarded the things that I should rightfully get.
Thank you so well. One, thank you for sharing that and elevating our relationship. I do appreciate that. I would beg to differ. The first day I met Councilmember Brown, she was bold and beautiful and came in the room like a light. And so I knew that she would be a leader and be great. And the resilience, I keep hearing this theme through everyone, owning their story, resilience, mentors, having people that help them along the way. All of these things sound like, I guess things that every single person who's been impacted by the system have, right? These are traits, positive traits that we all have in order to overcome incarceration, to survive incarceration, to leave there understanding you have all of these stigmas and then to come back on the other side and continue to push, to know that you will have doors closed several times, but to keep going because of what it is that you want to accomplish. Again, not for yourself, but also for your community, and to allow other people that they can do it too. And so I know for you, council member, there are not many directly affected, formerly incarcerated elected officials, period.
No,
And I know that when you won, if I'm not mistaken, I think you were the first in your district or maybe even in the state,
not in the state, but in my city.
in your city
In
to
my city,
become.
yeah. In the
That's the
15th
first.
largest city, now moving to the 14th largest city. So I made history, but I do really specifically want to touch bases on making history and not being acknowledged. But that was a young man that came on your stream, Kenny Robinson, who's done phenomenal things in our city. He just said, "We appreciate you, Councilwoman Tijuana Brown." He is boots on the ground, does amazing things, but it's your tribe, it's
Mm,
your people that are just as impacted, who has that strength, who demand what we should have at our table. I wasn't acknowledged. Had I been in New York, had I been in Atlanta, had I been in Boston, had I been in LA, some of the cities that the democracy is a little different, although I'm in a blue county, I'm in a red state.
mm,
And so my presence at the dais is not welcome. That wasn't welcome with open arms.
mm,
Before I won that position, it was whispering of convicted felon is coming our way. Who
mm.
is she going to serve? But I bring a different perspective. I own My seat in the dais, it belongs to the people. I was elected for the people, by the people, and I wholeheartedly represent the people, and I don't take that lightly, and I don't stray away from that. We need somebody that continues to stand in their truth unapologetically with our voice. I look to our ancestors for sure. Fannie Lou Hamer, who's sick and tired of being sick and tired, that's me. I also look at the newly elected Congresswoman out of Texas, Jasmine Crockett, how she owns her position, and even before that, the matriarch Maxine Waters. So those are people I pay homage to. But we have to just remember that we know who we are and whose we are. It's not what they call us, it's what we answer to. And in this day, in the 20th century, we don't need to go to their table. They need to ask us if they can come to ours. And that's where I am. I stand boldly in who I am and who I represent. In my district, it is one of the largest districts where people are being gentrified out. The crime rate is high. I lived in my district my entire life, meaning 53 years. My entire life, I lived in my district. I've seen everything there is to see in my district. I have to be the rep for the people. There is no other alternative for me. And how I got into my civic duty was because of our space, because of the work that we do, how we fight for our sisters and brothers that are oppressed, that are still incarcerated and should not be there, over sentence. I know you've seen my growth, and I just see it on your face and how I move forward. But I got in this position, pushing this position for the people. The people
And you
push me.
definitely are. You definitely are. And you were called to do this work. And again, incredibly proud of you because I have. And so I'm glad you see it on my, you can see it in my face and in my eyes.
Yeah.
I'm incredibly, incredibly proud of you. And from whence you come, I do know that. And so, you know, for everyone on this panel and people who are actually tuning in, you know, we're talking about just civic engagement. And it is, you know, our rights. We are, you know, constituents. We are, in many cases, able to vote. We are, and if we can't, then we can also, you know, encourage people to vote for us that are in our district, right? Our family members who may be registered. I think that it's important because we are still, you know, not looked at in an appropriate way. You know, we are not talked about in the appropriate way. And with all of this, just this, we're 5 people right here. I mean, 6. 7 stallings on, you know, behind the scenes who've all been impacted by the justice system. But this is a small, very small group, right? That is a part of the millions of people who have convictions in this country.
Very small group. And I want to say you were strategic. This is a very diverse group of people with accolades that shoot through the ceiling and pass the sky. And so even with that, we are often reminded of where we've been. And that's why we have to remember where we are and where we're going.
100%.
Everybody has done something that they're not proud of and just have not got caught. But when you own your story, you own your narrative, you get to rewrite it. And then you get to own how people treat you and what you want to be a part of. And if it's something that's us, I always want to be a part of it. But there's a lot of things I say no to because I am truly in this position to show people that are impacted by the justice system should be at any table that you unfold.
Amen. Thank you. And I'm never, you know me, I've never been one to take credit to pull things together that I don't do. So I will leave that to Judith, who I'm going to call back in the conversation because Judith single-handedly thoughtfully about who should be on this panel, why you all should be on this panel. And it is because all of the accolades, all of the hard work that you all have put in incarceration, through incarceration, and post incarceration, and it doesn't stop. And so, thank you, Judith, for this incredibly diverse underscoring Councilmember Brown panel of people in various different fields. So it can also give those who are tuning in the opportunity to understand that you can do anything, even when people say no. God will say yes. It's just you got to put the work in. So I thank you all for joining. I know we're going to move to Q&A. So Judith, thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for that. And it's been amazing, the conversation. I'm like so excited about, how they are really, really, really like true success stories, how much they have been able to overcome. So inspiring to individuals that are coming behind them to really, really continue to open up those doors, because once it's been open, it's an opportunity for each one of us to go through. But let's not underestimate the struggles and the sacrifices that they have done. And so that's why I wanted to also highlight that, because it's not been an easy journey, but they've been able to succeed in that. And with that, I'll bring it to the Q&A session. We have a couple of questions on there. And the first one goes to Dr. Andres. And Dr. Andres, real quick, how do you balance your scientific research and academic responsibilities with your advocacy work? So you got a lot of things on your plate. How do you balance?
Yeah, I get asked that quite often, and the answer is really simple. Just what Topeka just said. You put amazing people around you, and you truly value them as people and as humans, and as really connect with them on the level of understanding who they are. Um, and then they then like believe in the mission. It's no longer your mission or the organization's mission. It's our mission. So when you can get people to really see the work in that way, then you find great people, and then you get them to believe in the mission. And I mean that is the way that I have great people on the P2P team. I have great people on my research team at Howard, and they all believe in what we're doing.
That is wonderful. Thank you for that. And it literally takes a village. And I keep in mind the mentor, all of those tips that you gave us regarding putting people that are really believing in us, surrounding ourselves with those type of individuals. So appreciate that highlight. And the next one is for Council Member Brown. How have you used your platform in civic service to advocate for policies or initiatives that support justice impacted individuals?
So I always use it every day when I walk in my office. I've been granted the honor to have an office that overlooks the Mecklenburg Detention Center, which is the county jail. I have a relationship with our first Black sheriff. I walk into my office in City Hall every day and look at the jail every day that I go in my office, and I pray for the people that are in the jail. So I'm often reminded of where I came from. I can never forget. So my platform is strictly for civic engagement. It's strictly for people who would not have an opportunity to sit at the dais. The fact that I won unanimously every district in my district, every precinct in my district, correction, won every precinct in my district, taking me to 87% of the vote. The person that I ran against didn't think I was worthy or I should be there. He had been in public service for about 14 years, but had been out of public service for more than a decade. But when the seat opened up, he felt as if I was not worthy and that his accolades from decades ago now, we're living in the 20th century, from decades ago, undermined the fact that I'm a strong, influential woman with a lot of work from my community, from my nonprofit, from corporate America, and the fact that my lived experience would take me far. Because far too long, people have given up on our democracy for being lied to, for being misrepresented, for being told that they're going to get things that they don't get. So I immediately look at any policy and associate it with my district and for the people in my city that need us the most. Now, true, I do represent all people, but I am truly a person that look to represent and elevate those that would not be elevated under different circumstances. Being that I came from generational poverty, being that I came from a neighborhood that's still standing, that has income based off of the poverty line. It's a historic neighborhood still in Charlotte, and it's in my district. It's easy for me to stay grounded because I'm connected to the people that's going to keep me where I need to be. And that's how I use my platform to elevate any civic or advocate for anything that is necessary in that particular environment. It's easy for me. When you know what your agenda is, what your goal is, and how we've lacked in so many areas, I cannot do anything else other than accelerate the agenda for the people. One way I've done that was we voted to recriminalize poverty, and I stuck out like a Thor thumb with three other of my colleagues and voted no. So I'm always the tough votes, I always stick out. There was another vote for $650 million to redo the Panther Stadium. I'm a diehard Panther fan, lived in Charlotte for 53 years, but I cannot see myself allocating any funding, no matter what group of funding or what category it comes from, when our people are suffering. There's unaffordable housing, poverty rate is continuing to climb, people don't have jobs, and they can't feed their children. I cannot sign off on foolishness.
Well, I really truly appreciate you being on and reminding us how important it is for us to vote for those who can, and how important it is for us to be involved in policies, because that shapes our future and it impacts us so much more directly. Um, if we are not doing anything about it, it's going to affect not only us, but our families, our friends, and individuals that have been impacted by the system. So I thank you for your work. I thank everybody in this panel for their work. But I just want to remind how important it is to have that vote. My next question is for Lady. Lady, how did you manage to build trust and credibility with accrediting bodies to gain acceptance in your industry?
I think the way I have always applied it has been something that I started since probation. Now my probation officer is one of my biggest supporters, but it was transparency and just being honest through my challenges, being honest my situation, and then showing commitment to my ethical standards. That has allowed me to show professional growth and my dedication. Um, if anyone in accredited bodies, even if they seem skeptical, I always reach out. And once again, what we all talk about, own your story. Why do I want to be part of this? Why am I here? Why I'm a human being. And that has allowed me to build a lot of trust and acceptance in a field that is the healthcare field. As I mentioned before, even with the state licensure, being honest and telling them what, stay committed. That's how I have been committed with research. Why is it that we're good for research to be participants, but why are we not part of the research as being part of the research team? And reach out and tell them my story and why I want to be here. And that has gained acceptance in the industry for me as a psychotherapist, and show them why we need it. And that's been something that I have implemented since, I think, and that's what the reason also today in this day age, uh, my probation officer is my number one fan. I always call her my number one support. Since day one, I was honest. I showed her why I wanted to change, or why do I needed an opportunity for her to support me. I had 13-year probation. I was early terminated, but she supported me and she said, we're going to get you to work in what you want. We're going to make your dreams come true. And it did. So I follow the same steps for any accredited body. Be honest, transparent, and show my commitment, my passion.
And I recall a space and a place where we were at together, which you ensured me that you were going to break through these barriers and get yourself licensed in healthcare. I was like, oh, girl, go for it, because that is my field as well. And so I'm looking up to you to continue on that path. So thank you for opening those doors.
Thank you, Judith.
Yeah. And so this last question before we get on to our next panel discussion and second session of this great conversation is for Belen. And it says here, what skepticism or resistance did you have to face as a justice impacted individual entering the legal profession?
I would say that's a compound question. In the legal world, that's what we call it. Wow. I mean, the skepticism, resistance, we live it every day, right? Because we have a conviction for those who are just impacted. And to what amount? I mean, I think it really depends on who you're interacting with. But I always say that, you know, and taken from the other panelists, you have to own who you are. You have to embrace your story. And no matter how much resistance or skepticism or even rejection you face, you just have to keep pushing through because it's inevitable. People need our offense before they need us sometimes, or they need us, and immediately after they look us up on Google. I mean, we're all very public. So learn how to make that part of your life. And, you know, in the legal world, of course, I deal with judges and prosecutors and everything else. So I use it as an educational opportunity so they know that there's people out there that should be given opportunities, just like me, because I don't consider myself exceptional in any way. Just being fortunate to be exposed to exceptional opportunities given by exceptional individuals, including Topeka and Dr. Andres, and having an exceptional network in one of those individuals is good too. So don't be afraid to embrace who you are, find people that you can connect with, and pursue opportunities. Because for us, guys, the limit just like everybody else.
Great. And I think there's one more question that we'll go to quickly, and kind of is similar, but we'll put it on there. And how else do you support and grow your firm? And have you pursued acceptance in the Florida legal industry? So how else have you been able to grow your firm?
So for me, because you know, obviously it helps me having the live experience. I think being honest with people, sharing that experience, communicating with them, and relating with them has been very fundamental for me in terms of growing the firm. And also providing, making sure that we provide the best outcome possible. I'm not an attorney. I work with attorneys, so but I have other capabilities. So being honest, being empathetic, being transparent, delivering excellent work. And as far as the acceptance, as I said, I think that every time I encounter somebody, whether it's in the legal industry or elsewhere, I always tell people that I'm just as impacted. That's probably the second thing that I say. Hey, just so you know, I'm just as impacted. I've been to prison. So for me, it's like you know, conversation starter in a way, because I want to educate society. I want them to see that, you know, not everybody in this world is this outrageous person, dangerous person. You know, you just have to keep an open mind, and society needs to learn that. You know, we're not our friends. We're way more than that.
Great, thank you for that. And just one last comment. I want to say that was something I was put on. You guys are representing the hope against hope, and so you are catalysts in this space. And I'm super excited to have you guys in this presence. I also want to bring it on to our CEO, Dr. Sam, so she can highlight not only how we've highlighted individuals from outside our community, but also our in-house fellows, which I'm really, really excited to highlight as well.
Thank you so much, Judith, and thank you everyone who answered, everyone who sent over the questions, but also everyone who answered the questions. Before I transition into our P4E Fellows discussion, I would just like to leave all of our panels with this. You are each exceptional. I think so often that we're told that, you know, that this is, you have to be humble. Yes, there's humility in the things that you do, but there's also confidence. It takes a lot of confidence. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of resilience. It takes a lot of grace. It takes a lot of sacrifice in order for you all to achieve the things that you have achieved. And so please know that you are exceptional, and there are also exceptional people. So, and you may have overcome things that others have not, and you're opening doors so that other can. And because of that, that makes you each exceptional. So I want us to start to change some of that language, saying that it's not, we're not. No, we are. And we are an exception to a lot of rules. And we've broken a lot of glass ceilings. And we've also broken down a lot of doors. And so because of that, that's not something that we should be bashful or shy about. I think that it allows people to understand just how great these contributions are, but also how great the sacrifices are to be able to do the things that you have done. And so, again, I'm incredibly grateful that you all have taken the time out of your busy, busy schedules to join us and to share in coaching and mentorship, maybe sponsorship for some who listen. But we can say we definitely gave some coaching and some mentorship here today. But I'm grateful again for your contributions to the world and most importantly to yourselves to overcome all of the harms, right, that you have experienced. It takes a lot. And so this is nothing that we should, blink an eye about or not hold up. And so I reverence it. I thank God for each of you. And I am so incredibly proud of you and just really honored to be in community with each and every one of you. So thank you again. Please stay on and just, join in conversation, ask any questions to the fellows that are coming on. And so thank you all. And now I'm going to introduce a few of our very own Pathways for Equity Program fellows and highlight their success stories. So our first fellow is Crystal Scott, CPWA Web Accessibility Engineer at Zenith. And so Crystal is a justice impacted woman and a fellow from our first cohort launched in 2021, working as a full-time web accessibility engineer at Zenith. She's an expert in HTML, CSS, JavaScript, WCAG guidelines, and workflow development. IAAP CPWA certified. Crystal, I'm gonna need help because I don't know half of these things mean. So I'm gonna need you to tell us. Crystal is also committed to lifelong learning and is currently pursuing a BA in web design at Southern New Hampshire University. Thank you so. And she is a dope web designer. She did our website, y'all, and worked on so many other things. And so Crystal is incredible. Thank you, Crystal, for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Sam.
Absolutely. And you'll join and let us know what all that means shortly. Our next fellow is Adrian Lee, rental manager at Lepo Rents, Bobcat of Dotham. Is that right? Dotham. Okay, you're muted. We can't hear you, but I read your lips pretty well. Adrian is a justice impacted woman and fellow from the fall of 2022, working full time as a rental manager at Lepo Rents Bobcat of Dotham in Dotham, Alabama. Maybe that's why I'm having such a hard time.
It's okay. It's Dothan.
Okay, because I'm a northerner. Okay,
It's fine.
That could be it. I don't know where there's any Dothams in New York, but we got it today. In her over 3 years at the company, she has become the leading rental expert in the company's Southeast region, yielding the highest rental revenue during the company's tenure in the Southeast. She has been awarded the company's coveted Core 4 Award for her performance and commitment to ensuring customer satisfaction. Additionally, she's committed to aiding and assisting incarcerated men and women as an ambassador for the Can Do Clemency Foundation, where she serves to guide them and their families toward clemency. Thank you so much, Adrian, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
From Dotham, Alabama. Dotham, Alabama. I'm gonna get it right.
You can say it how you want to.
And our final fellow for this evening is Lori Klein, post-sales manager for Power Support Partners in Atlanta, Georgia. Much easier for me to say. After overcoming significant challenges, Lori transformed her life from incarceration to success. Today, she holds a college degree from New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary and thrives as a post-sales manager at Power Support Partners in Atlanta, Georgia, overseeing operations at the corporate level. Her journey is a testament to resilience and the power of second chances, demonstrating remarkable achievement in the home service industry. Lori is a summer 2023 fellow, loves to help others, and is always seeking and willing to learn something new. Thank you to all of my fellows for joining here. We appreciate you from all over the country. And I'm going to stop picking with Adrian. about, because I'm going to mess it up again. So I'm not even going to say.
You're going to get it right by the end of this.
So each of you are currently working for an employer in different industries. Despite the challenges that come from the hiring practices of these industries, you have successfully broken through the barriers. Crystal, how has working for your employer in the technology sector helping rebuild your life during your reentry journey?
Thank you, Dr. Sam. I want to express gratitude for just the Ladies of Hope Ministries for inviting me to be a part of this panel today and a part of this discussion. The LOM has been monumental in my successful reentry journey as well. And I'm truly thankful for the continued support. I'm also incredibly grateful to be celebrating my 40th birthday and my 5-year anniversary of the release from prison with all of you here today.
Wow, you had released on your birthday?
I did. They released me on my birthday. It was a great
wow.
birthday, but looking back on it now, getting released in the shower shoes and the plastic bag paperwork, I think I'm a lot better off for my 40th birthday 5 years later.
How about it? God bless. Congratulations.
So to answer your question, Dr. Sam, my journey in reentering society after being incarcerated for almost 5 years has been incredibly challenging. But my employment with Zenith Group in the technology sector has really been monumental in rebuilding my life. First and foremost, the mentorship and the training I've received as an accessibility specialist has been invaluable. My supervisor and team has provided me with guidance, helping me to grow and shine in this specialized field. The one with all the acronyms that nobody hardly knows, but we understand all that. So this support has allowed me to gain confidence and expertise, which has been crucial in establishing myself professionally. Zenith has also supported my educational goals through an annual stipend. I've used this to achieve the highest level of certification, which was some of those acronyms, a web accessibility specialist in my industry through the International Association of Accessibility Professionals. And this year, my employer is even helping with my college tuition, enabling me to return to school to pursue a bachelor's degree in graphic design, media arts, web design. Perhaps most importantly, though, my employment at Zenith has provided the financial stability to not only rebuild my life, but also to create a secure future for my children. The stable salary I earn has been life-changing. It's allowed me to cover the legal fees to regain custody of all 3 of my children, pay off all my court fines, fees, and restitution, and I'm on track to be debt-free by June of next year. And additionally, I've been able to purchase my first home and start a 401k, contributing 10% of my paycheck to secure not only my future, but my children's future as well. So without this opportunity, I wouldn't be standing here today sharing my story. Zenith Group has truly been a cornerstone in my reentry journey, helping me to transform my life and rebuild a future that I'm proud of.
Shout outs to Zenith, right? We don't hear a lot of corporations with these type of stories. And investing and consistently investing in you. And so congratulations, welcome home, number 1. Happy 40th, number 2. Congratulations on the home purchase and all of the acronyms and certifications and pursuing your bachelor's degree. That's incredible. And so, 5 is one of my favorite numbers. I was released May 5th, 2015, and 5 is the number for grace. So it looks like, this is your grace year. And you are going to achieve so much more. And I'm just so happy that we have been blessed to be a part of your journey. And so thank you so much for sharing. I still want to know what those acronyms are, but for the sake of time, we're going to move on to Adrian. You're going to tell me offline, Crystal. Or matter of fact, put it in the comments because other people might want to know too. Okay. So Adrian, how has working for your employer in the construction industry helped rebuild your life during your reentry journey?
Okay, so I didn't write anything down. I just wanted to wing it. It's better for me. I'll get flustered if not. It has really helped me by believing in myself and the confidence building that I've gone through with this process. The resilience, just being an overcomer and being able to believe in myself that just because I was in prison for 7 years doesn't mean that I have to accept the stigma that society puts on us, with being a felon. It has helped me overcome my fears. It's helped me believe in myself that it doesn't matter what I do, as long as I put my mind to it and I put my heart in it, that I can do it. I came into the construction industry, heavy equipment industry, not knowing anything about it. It's not anything I've ever done in my career. I've always done logistics. So obviously my goal was to try to get back into logistics. But when God opened this door and this opportunity for me, he opened the door for a company that they opened the door up with open arms. They all accepted me. I was very transparent during the hiring process, and that's one of the things that they look for. They do not hire based on experience; they hire based on character.
Mm.
And just learning everything about the industry and being shown grace by this company and being accepted and being loved regardless of what my past was and what I had just been through has really helped build my confidence and knowing that no matter what I do, whether I continue on in this industry or I decide to go another path, that I have confidence in myself and I believe in myself enough to do it.
Well, incredible for all of the accolades you've received, jumping in an industry that you really were unfamiliar with, but taking the opportunity because you knew it would be a great one. And
Yes.
so incredibly proud of what you've been able to accomplish.
Thank you.
And I mean, that's no feat when a new company comes into a new, district, a new region, and, there's a lot of pressure.
Yes.
And what it is that is expected from you, especially when it comes to sales and things. I remember, being in sales myself years, many, many moons ago. But you have shine. And I think, again, that talks to this underscore that we keep hearing today of resilience, that because of the different barriers and things that we have faced, when given an opportunity, we shine. And so, congratulations for what you've been able to accomplish so far, because it is also only the beginning for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
This company has been more than gracious to me, and I'm so grateful for them. They've given me so much, and they put 150 into me, so I put 150 into them. So
that's wonderful.
Absolutely.
Okay. And Lori, how has working for your employer in the home service industry helped rebuild your life during your reentry journey?
So I'll have to say that if I had to sum it up in one word, the one word would be opportunity. It has made the difference in everything that has happened to me. I did 7 years as well, and I have only been out 16 months. But in that 16 months, I have got a job at a generator company where we install home generators. We had acquired one company in Florida at the time. I work at the corporate office where we're a central location, and now we have 7 locations in that year and 4 months. And so it's been an incredible growth journey as well. I didn't know anything about the generator business, like Adrian didn't know anything about homes. And so it has been a learning experience. It has been a booster for confidence. I have been accepted openly at my job. I've been poured into. I've been given opportunity after opportunity. Everything that has been accomplished there. I started as one of the first CX associates when they started their CX department, and now I'm a post-sales manager in just 16 months, and that's 4 promotions later. And so it's been a great journey. It's been a wild ride, startup company. And so it kind of was nice because I was able to start my life over at the same time that this company was starting and going. And I'm just going to say the support that I've received, training, mentorship, I've been stretched, doing things that I never have done before. Things like return on investments, unit cost analysis, budgets, making a business plan for a department that basically I picked up a pile of paper when I was down in Fort Myers at their office. I've been able to travel. I've been to Colorado, Fort Myers, Tennessee. And so it's been opportunity. It's just been an amazing opportunity.
So incredibly proud of you. Sorry, I'm echoing. So incredibly proud of you and all that you've also been able to accomplish. And so really just, again, so proud of all of you. One, proud that you all have come through LOHM and P4E. And again, shout out to our director of the program, Arlene Benavidez, also to, right, whoop, whoop, also to Judith Negron and Nia Cosby, who lead that program and all of the work there. And so, it is definitely, as we heard earlier, it takes a team to be able to do all of this incredible work. And it takes you to be able to take the things that you're learning and be open to know that we need some support, right? And then be able to move forward. So I'm so proud of being able to just be a seed in some of the things that you all are doing. And I'm excited to see where you will be in 5 more years. But I have 2 questions for each of you, and you can decide what you want to take. But one is, what is one piece of advice that you would give to other justice impacted individuals pursuing similar career paths? Or what is one strength you possess that your employer admires about you the most?
Okay. You want me to jump right in here with Dr. Sam?
Go ahead, birthday girl.
Okay. So I'm going to take the first one, but I'm going to give 2 pieces of advice, okay?
Great.
Okay, so my advice to others who are looking for a career in the technology field is twofold. Number one, to take every opportunity to educate yourself, because education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world. If you want something, learn it, be it, do it, eat, sleep, train. Number 2, surrender your life to God, acknowledge him in all your ways, and he shall direct your path.
Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. That was my dad's favorite scripture. So I know that one like the back of my hand. Thank you.
Yes.
Adrienne?
Okay, sorry. So honestly, I thought these were 2 separate questions we were going to have to answer
No.
separately. But I would like to go with the second question about your, what your employer would say. And I would like to read something, because there was a very special woman who hired me during the hiring process. Because I did not know their policy on hiring felons. I just took a chance and, put myself out there and said, this is what I've been through. As we were going through the hiring process, I said, I don't want to waste your time. And, you waste mine. I don't want to waste each other's time. So I'm just going to be honest and tell you everything I've just been through. This was 3.5 years ago, because I got out in January of 2021. And so she's the vice president of the company. She and I have had a very special relationship from day one. She has put a lot into me. She has poured a lot into me. She has given me a lot of guidance and a lot of coaching. She is kind of my go-to girl. She's been with the company 30 something years, and started out at a very low level. And now she's the vice president of operations of the company. So I did go to her for some, some thoughts on what she would have to say. And this, if I can I read the message?
Of course, please.
Okay.
Do.
So I did ask her the question. She said, I will never forget my first interview over the phone with you. You knew that although you did not have the direct experience, that you could do the role with your previous roles. You seemed to know how to balance kindness, caring, resilience, and humility. All of these traits are a part of what makes you a natural fit for our workplace culture, and a comfort for our coworkers, and a trusted expert for our customers. The strength is really in your ability to care for a people in a way that keeps them coming back. So I wanted to read that because it's important for me to remember that this is coming from someone who has watched me grow in 3.5 years and watched me grow into the role that I'm in this company. Learning so much from not just her, but every coworker in my company who have accepted me in my past. And they rejoice with me in my achievements and the things that I do, on the side, voluntary work with the, prison reform. They sponsor me with a lot of that stuff. They're very supportive. But I would like to say that the fact that I care and I have adapted to their core values of the company, and being successful to me is when you can adjust to those core values, and you can use them not only in your daily life at work, but also in your personal life at home. You take it home with you, and you apply those principles to every part of your life, whatever that looks like, work, home, personal. And they have taught me a lot of that. And I think that is one of my strengths is just being able to care and And customer service is a huge thing for me. I care about every customer that walks in the door. And I had another boss tell me, he said, you make the customers feel like they're the only ones that are in the room when they walk in. And that to me is most important, because I realize and I know that is how I make my paycheck. And, and I care because, as we all know, when you go to prison and you come out, you look at life through a completely different set of lenses. So you are so humbled on this side of the fence. You are so humbled, out when you're out, because you've been somewhere where everything has been taken away from you. So you value everything that is in your life. So it's not just a person that I value, it's things, it's everything in my life. So just making sure that the customers are taken care of and that I do my best at my job, not just at my job, but my home life, my personal life, my family, it's all important to me. So I think I incorporate that strength into every part of my daily life. And they have instilled a lot of that in me since I've been home and working for this company. And it's just been amazing to learn from them.
Incredible. Thank you so much for that. And I think that was powerful that you had something that your employer wrote, right? That you can, you didn't have to guess, because, if I had to guess, I would probably say a lot more, but I think to have specifically what they're thinking about you right now in this moment, and what it is that your contributions are, is really critical to your point, personal development, right? Because, while there is parts of our lives where, a lot of times I don't care what people think, but that's not true, right? Like, you want to be able to show up to be the best person that you can be. And hopefully that when you've gone through the experience and survived incarceration, that it does change you, right? It changes you in a way that allows you to come back to be resilient and come back with fire, right? Fire to change things, fire to make sure that people, that the laws are changed, that lives are changed, but most of all, that you are changed. And, I'm just so proud of everyone and everything that you all are sharing, because it's so incredible just to see the growth, because many of you I've been able to see from when you were released from prison and even to now. And so just hearing where you are now from which you come is just really, really incredible. So thank you for sharing that. And again, shout outs to these employers, because I'm really proud of them too. We need many, many more. And Lori, can you also share one or the other as well?
Sure. And it's funny because I didn't want to presume what my employer would think my greatest strength was. And so I asked and I got a response. And so I have something to read as well. And I was very surprised at the answer because it's not the normal thing you would think of strength. When you think of strengths at work, you think of work ethic, smart, intelligent, all these other things. And this is the one he said. It's from Hamilton Powell. He's the CEO of my company. And he said, there are several I could point to, but I would say curiosity. Here's what I mean by that. It is great to work with leaders who solve problems, but I prefer to work with leaders who solve problems before they become problems. Lori is this kind of leader. And she excels at this because she is naturally curious. If she sees something that just doesn't seem right, she refuses to accept it. She is not a person who will accept ambiguity, nod her head yes, and blindly trod forward. Instead, she dives into the data and understands why something is what it is, continuing to pull on the string until she is fully comprehending the root cause. And by doing so, she derives solutions. In my opinion, curiosity is what separates reactive team members from proactive leaders. And I am so grateful for her leadership.
Wow. That is powerful. And I wouldn't have thought about curiosity as a strength either in that way, but that was really, really powerful. I like this exercise of going to an employer.
It was great. It made me kind of tear up and see it all. It was very awesome. Hamilton has known from the get-go that about my background. He is one of 5 people at the company that were involved in my hire. And they actually made an exception to their policy because I was a few months shy of their 7-year rule. But I was also the number 1 pick of several candidates, is what I was told. So my advice, just real short and sweet, is be determined, have goals, don't ever stop learning, and push forward. Don't be afraid to ask for help, and there's always something you can learn.
Thank you. That was really, really powerful. All of it. I don't know who I'm gonna ask, but I'm gonna ask somebody about this question because I love the responses that you all received. But it was really insightful, and but it speaks to who you all are. And so just really, really proud hearing what your colleagues are saying about you is also opening up opportunities for other people to work for the company too, right? And maybe even while the 7 years that they put and while you were 2 months shy, maybe next year they'll go down to 5 years or 3 years or two, because you have set the stage for what people are looking for, right? In a company, in an employee, and also in a leader. So I am, again, just really elevating these employers who have taken the opportunity, which is what you said earlier, Lori, not a chance, but the opportunity to work with you all in these companies. And I know that they have done, because of you all, their companies are better.
And
so I thank you. Absolutely.
And
So I
he
thank
actually has already let me hire someone who also was released from prison. And so she is my employee now, and she's doing great. And so I did time with her, and they pretty much just took my word on it and said, it's a formality. Do you want her or not? So they let me hire someone based on the thing. So we've opened doors.
Love it. And that's Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
So, we're talking, and you're in Alabama. I'm not even going to say what city, but you're in Alabama. Adrian. And so we're talking about the South, right?
Say it.
Culture is different there too. So, the fact that we do have people that are, taking an opportunity again to work alongside people who deserve it is incredible. And so I'm really happy to hear this. And, happy to see that you were the ones that are catalysts in order to help that and make that happen. And that you're lifting while you climb, Lori, right? Like as you go, you're bringing other people with you. And that's what all of this is about. And so thank you all so, so much for joining us today. I invite you to partner with the LOHM's Pathway for Equity program to help us to advocate for equitable employment. We have a broad talent pool ranging from entry level to executive leadership level experience, waiting to be given a fair chance and an opportunity. If you are a business, consider being an employer partner, corporate sponsor, or provide your staff experts to assist with our talent development. If you are a reentry organization, we invite you to collaborate with us to expand our reach in helping women find career pathways with livable wages, benefits, and growth opportunities. As mentioned before, this is the last of a 3-part series discussion on barriers to equitable employment. If you are interested in viewing our prior discussions on legal barriers and employer barriers, a link is available in the chat. The Pathways for Equity program will be celebrating its 3rd year anniversary in mid-September. Please join us as we embark on our celebration of 100 P4E fellows in their quest for career success. We are looking for true opportunities that are in line with their experience and expertise. Will you be one giving that opportunity? Will you be a part of their success story? Let's continue to work together to provide opportunities for fair and equitable employment so that career success becomes everyone's personal story. Judith?
That was such a beautiful closing. I have nothing to say other than I put the link on the chat for our survey. If you can please have a minute to complete that. But again, I mean, this has been such a wonderful discussion. Panelists have been amazing. true leaders in their space and their respective industries. And I just want to ensure, I'm looking forward to having more opportunities flaunted in their future. So thank you for that. Thank you for joining us today. And please, please, please don't forget to partner with us. You can bring so much help and assistance to these ladies coming forward. We have talent pool that is amazing, and we just want to break those barriers in each industry.
Yes, and please make sure if you heard something that someone said today, that you reach out to them on LinkedIn. These are professionals, so they do have LinkedIn profiles.
Yes.
Go on and look them up, message them, figure out how they can either maybe be a coach, a mentor, or a sponsor. I really love that, Dr. Andrews. And I, again, want to elevate my team because we are only as strong as our team. Thank you, Judith, for putting together an incredible third and last of our business P4E business roundtables for the year. They have each been just so fulfilling and enriching, and I know people have gotten a lot, and I believe that I saw them being added to the chat. If you want to go back and view any of the other events. Also, thank you, Starling and Rabia, our comms team, for supporting and making sure that everything runs smoothly and that where people are able to get on this across all platforms and through all the marketing. And again, thank you to Nia, our programs facilitator, and our program director, Arlene Benavides, who helps to run this program and helps to select our P4E fellows, and have gotten 100 people trained and ready for the career that they are so deserving. And so again, I'm Dr. Topeka K. Sam, and we are thank you and good night.